Our fifth nominee is an advocate for artists in the Quad City area. Art appears in many ways, shapes, and forms. And for Carolyn Kruger, so does public service.
Can't get enough of that texture.
This potter is anything from planted.
She does so many things I can't keep up with them.
When she's not working on her own craft, she's helping others with theirs.
The more people I meet, the more events I get involved with, the more artists are out there, and they just keep coming. And we nurture them in the Quad Cities.
Carolyn is the manager and owner of The Artery in downtown Rock Island.
There's nothing else around that I know of that's quite like this.
It's the first of its kind where artists can rent some space, sell their creations, and keep 100% of the money they make.
A lot of galleries are juried, which half our gallery is. I am the judge and jury when it comes to The Artery, and basically I'll give anybody a chance.
And my little tweet.
I get a lot of fresh out of school people, students who have never been in a gallery before. I've taught a lot of people how to put a wire on the back of their paintings so they can in fact hang it on a wall. We just, you have to start somewhere, and we're often that place for people.
Last year, Carolyn started an outdoor farmers market for artists outside of Skeleton Key Arts and Antiques. Earlier this month, the artist market began its second season. It takes place on the second Sunday of each month, June through October, from noon to 4. The next one will be July 9th. Next up is our sixth nominee, who uses one thing to unite all groups of people. Inside this church is a congregation based on one word: love.
The biggest tenet of my faith is simply love. Love one another. And the more that we can do that, in the more ways we can do that, to the more people we can do, that's what my faith is all about.
And leading that love is Reverend Rich Hendricks. He's the pastor of the Metropolitan Community Church of the Quad Cities.
I was an attorney first, and then went into the ministry. And I credit my children for helping me hear my call to the ministry, because they showed me the importance of really reaching people one-on-one and developing those relationships that transform lives.
Nearly 12 years later, that's still the goal: to rally the community together, literally. Whether it's a same-sex marriage celebration, a vigil for the victims of the Boston Marathon bombings, or standing united against hate with the group One Human Family.
He does things like that. He motivates people, gets them excited, and really is a great leader.
Rich's friend Larry says his service is fundamental to the Quad City area.
People need to be the change that they wish to see, and the way to do that is by joining hands, joining hearts, and realizing that we're all the same.
I can't imagine MCC or the greater faith community without Rich Hendricks.
I have an optimistic view of human nature. Deep down we're all pretty good, and we want to do well and do good, and sometimes we need a little nudge in that direction, or we need to be reminded that that the spirit of love is there. And so the more that we can come together, the more we can accomplish together too.
One Human Family meets every third Tuesday of the month. The next meeting takes place July 18th. Our seventh nominee is Bridging the Gap for homeless veterans in our area. From rallies,
they've earned every damn dime,
to aisles,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 more.
Mike Malmstrom always finds a way to stand up for our veterans.
It's criminal that we haven't had an opportunity to make sure that these folks get the care and the treatment they need.
A veteran himself, serving in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve for 8 years, Mike found a platform for his passion by working with another Marine, U.S. Congressman Lane Evans.
6.5 years on the road with Lane as a congressional staffer. If you didn't learn about the veterans, and veteran service, then there was something wrong with you. Lane dedicated his life to working class men and women and veterans across this country, and just kind of rubbed off one Marine to another.
That relationship has had a lasting impact on what Mike has been doing for nearly 2 decades now. In 2000, he started Bridging the Gap, a nonprofit organization that creates a modern-day stand-down in the Quad Cities.
The stand down was a rear area that the troops could go to, not have to look over their shoulder, and could write home, see a doctor, see a preacher, just kick back for a couple, 2 or 3 days, and not have to worry about whether he could sleep that night and not be ambushed.
Here, it's an event that connects homeless veterans with local resources and services, something Lane supported as well.
It was one of his passions, because one of the bills that he had pushed was the funding for homeless veterans, while he was in Congress. And to see that put together in his area and district, he was very proud of that and very active in any way he could and helpful in any way he could. It's it's important because a lot of people don't think about that individual that might be out on the street. People need to wake up and look outside their window, because there's more issues than what's inside the house. And unless we all wake up and work together to try to resolve them, it's going to continue on.
Bridging the Gap keeps growing. There are now 2 stand downs a year. The next stand down is September 14th through the 16th. One more to go.